Lanny Davis. This is the ambulance chasing attorney who's representing the ambulance chasing attorney, Michael Cohen. And he had a statement that is, I think it's rather outlandish, but Lanny Davis is essentially implicating the President of the United States along with his client. And Davis is saying today he, Cohen, stood up and testified under oath that Donald Trump directed him to commit a crime by making payments to two women for the principal purpose of influencing the election. If those payments were a crime for Michael Cohen, then why wouldn't they be a crime for Donald Trump? So like a good attorney, you all live by a creed, and that is never ask a question you don't know the answer to. Well, we know the answer to that. It isn't necessarily a crime. A couple of the things that Cohen did, for example, he made a donation that was too large under campaign finance law. So Donald Trump is not guilty of that. And then you would have to necessarily prove conspiracy or some sort of intent here for Donald Trump. And also, you would also have to prove that he necessarily violated campaign law in terms of using campaign donations for something else. There's a whole big yarn of goo here, and Lanny Davis is trying to confuse the American people with it.
That's right, Graham. You don't need me. That's exactly right. You need to prove intent in order to be able to prove conspiracy. I can't go into a courtroom, confess to a crime, even under oath, on the record, and say that you directed me to do something with the intention of, because nobody knows what your intention was. The president's intention may have been to spare his family the embarrassment, the public embarrassment of learning about the allegations these two women had to say. And he used his own money, according to the president. So there is no way one can argue credibly that simply because Cohen stated it on the record makes it so in terms of the president being in legal trouble. That's if you even take Michael Cohen at face value. Everybody has to agree his credibility is compromised, as anybody is, when you take that kind of a sweetheart deal.
It's legal for a client to direct an attorney to make a payment, right? As long as it's legal and it's above board, right? It's also legal to make a payment to an individual for whatever purpose. Again, as long as it's above board and legal, it's legal to make that payment to an individual to make them go away, right? It's also legal to put an NDA in front of somebody's face as part of this deal. So there's nothing illegal about that. But what could be illegal is the use of campaign funds to make these people go away, to make this deal or these deals with these women. And this is the pertinent law from the Federal Elections Commission. It's 11 CFR 113.1G. If the expense would exist in the absence of the candidacy or even if the office holder were not in office, then the personal use ban applies. In other words, if Donald Trump used his private money to make these transactions, these deals with these women, these NDAs and these cash payments, if he used his private money, then it's necessarily not a violation of the campaign finance law.
That's right, and that's one of the reasons that the plea deal was crafted the way it was and why Michael Cohen's in-court statements under oath were scripted the way they were, is they're attempting to get around that language and somehow make it a crime.
So you think they were, you notice they were scripted, very, very carefully worded.
Absolutely very carefully worded in order to implicate the president. But we still run against the same problems. The statute you read still stands true. The fact that you need to prove intent to prove criminal conspiracy is still true. You don't get there simply by the plea deal we heard from Cohen in court. Now, I understand Lanny Davis, and I've been watching it on all the cable news stations, I'm sure you have as well, is implicating and stating directly that Cohen has more information to offer. Why wouldn't he if it's going to affect him getting a more lenient deal? Anybody would be able to understand that.
Right, and I want to talk about that in just a minute. But first, so the key question comes down to this: where did the money come from? And there's going to be records for that. Apparently, Cohen sent invoices to Donald Trump or the Donald Trump Corporation. So it's a follow the money trail. But what Cohen stated and what Lanny Davis is stating is opinion. It's not based on fact. And it's political opinion, I mean, a highly charged political opinion. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And you said the magic word, corroboration. You can't just go into court and say something. People go into court and say anything every day, whether or not they're under oath. You need to back it up. And because source credibility here is so significant that absolutely you're going to look for a paper trail, documents, emails, recordings. We know Michael Cohen was a walking tape recorder.
Right.
But there's got to be something more that corroborates these assertions in order for the president to be guilty of a crime.
All right, here's what worries me. And we know this to be fact. And this is two opinions from former Justice Departments, the Carter administration No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it was the Carter administration. No, I have the two different administrations. No, the Nixon administration. That's what I need to go back one more president, or a couple presidents anyway. The Nixon administration rendered a decision that a sitting president cannot be indicted, and then the Clinton administration rendered the same decision. So I want to establish the fact that a sitting president cannot be indicted.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.